Thank you. With talking with dentists throughout the country, two main problems I find that they're facing in their practices today are how to get more new patients in the door and how to get more of their patients to say yes to their treatment recommendations, okay? And when it comes to this new patient issue, I find a common theme and a perception almost, if you will, that marketing doesn't work for them, okay, in one way, shape, or form, which I found interesting. And so after studying people who have used marketing successfully and got as many new patients as they needed and those that didn't, I found one common theme to this issue and this problem. And it's this, is that the reality is doctors, dentists, are not getting the marketing data they need to make smart decisions. And it's as simple as that. But there's two sides of this coin as well. How do you know if marketing is really working or not? Well, first and foremost, it's this. Are the advertisements actually bringing in enough quality and quantity of new patients to justify the expense, right? Are we getting a positive ROI for what we're spending on? But there's this whole other piece that nobody's really talking about or really understands, and it's something that I call lost opportunity, right? Something there under the surface, right, that's costing them new patients every day, even today. And what that lost opportunity is this, okay? Number one, it's missed calls. If you survey dentists today and ask them, do you answer all your new patient phone calls? I bet we'd almost get 100% of them said, oh yeah, I feel like we're answering all of our phone calls, okay? Well, the reality is by tracking it, and we track over 1,400 doctors and dentists throughout the US, Canada, and Australia, the reality is they're not answering 33% of their marketing-based phone calls. So new patients are calling and they're not even picking up, okay? That's a staggering number, right? On the flip side of that, guess what else? Lost opportunity number two. If they do answer the phone, do they make an appointment or not? Well, going back to the data, what we're tracking, the average office is only converting 34% of those calls into appointments. So what does that mean? Well, run the math, right? If I had 100 potential new patients that called last month, and I didn't answer a third of the phone calls, they only converted 34% of the calls that we did talk to, right? That means 77% of those calls are that lost opportunity that I'm telling you about, okay? That we didn't answer and we didn't convert for one reason or another. Okay? And if you think about an average patient being worth about $1,000 in the first year alone, they're losing hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. And again, they don't even see it. The good news about this is that it can be fixed, right? With proper tracking, getting the data they need, with unique solutions I've kind of created to help this missed call issue, better phone training to help get more patients in the door, okay? Doctors can get more new patients tomorrow without having to spend more money on marketing. In my own practices, it was a big need. I used it to decrease my no-show or my lost opportunities to where our missed calls went from 55%, so I was really bad, okay, down to less than 5%. Staff conversions were 24%. I got them up to 86%. Big difference. My new patient numbers went from 60 a month to last year I averaged 300 a month. And my marketing costs, they went down 75%. As a result, okay? So now that we can get patients in the door, how do we get more to say yes to our treatment recommendations, right? To the questions we're gonna ask of them, the requests we're gonna make. And what are we gonna ask, right? Will you show up for your appointment? Will you pay your bill today? Can we schedule you for that crown? And the answer to this, in my opinion, lies in the science behind influence and persuasion. And we have to go to the authority on influence, who's Dr. Robert Cialdini. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Dr. Cialdini or his work, but he is considered by many to be the foremost expert in the ethical influence and persuasion process, right? How to ethically set the stage for more people to say yes to what we're going to ask of them, all right? And Dr. Cialdini in his research discovered several important things. And one of the things he discovered was this, is that what we say before a request matters more than the request itself, okay? And if you understand that, it could be a powerful weapon in your arsenal. The other thing he discovered is this, if you think about it, we are bombarded with 3 billion marketing messages every year, okay? Think about how many decisions we have to make on a daily basis. 1,000, 2,000, right? We're overloaded. And as a result, our brain has been forced to create these little shortcuts, okay, in the decision-making process. They're like these little automated mental triggers that when engaged, automatically, more than likely, lead to a yes, okay? And so what Dr. Cialdini did was he discovered 6 key principles of influence that affect these triggers or shortcuts. And the first one is called reciprocity. A lot of people have heard of this, right? When someone gives you a gift of value, what do we feel the need to do? We give back, right? Exactly. Liking is the other principle, okay? Which basically means we like to do business with people we like, right? Consensus or social proof is the third principle, which means in the absence of understanding what to do in this situation, we look to others around us to show us what we should be doing. Okay? The authority principle, okay, in the absence of understanding what a topic, material, subject matter is, what do? We look to credible authorities to tell us what we should be doing in this situation. Okay? Consistency, which basically means if someone makes a commitment about something, if they take a stand on something, right, there's a lot of external and internal pressure on them to stay consistent with that stand and commitment they made, which means it's very likely they're going to follow through with it. Now, the consistency principle is interesting because it's the number one thing I find in dentistry that we do a very poor job of. We do not get enough commitments out of our patients. And guess what? And we wonder why they don't show up for their appointments, they don't pay their bills, and they're not calling back to schedule for their treatment. Okay? The last principle, okay, it's called scarcity, right? When resources are limited, suddenly we want it more, okay? And I've had the benefit this last 3 years of studying under Dr. Cialdini and the honor of being awarded a certified trainer in his method of influence. So I am licensed to speak on his behalf and train dentists on the persuasion and ethical influence process. And so one last thing I want to leave you with before I go is this. Remember that in the influence process, because it's based in science, right? Because it's tested, it's proven, that means anyone can learn to be more persuasive and have more influence. The second thing I want to leave you with is lost opportunity, okay? Right? It was there hiding under the surface the whole time, right? It's there, it's affecting these practices, and they don't even see it. But if they have the data they need to tap into this lost opportunity, guess what? They're going to get more new patients tomorrow, and if they understand Cialdini's principles, they're going to get more of them to say yes. Thank you.